What's going on, everybody? Sean Daniel with Guitar Control here. Today we are learning Can I Believe You by Fleet Foxes. We're just going to do kind of like a solo guitar arrangement of this that is pretty much the gist of the entire song. So make sure to click the link below because we have the chord chart and the lyrics that go along with all this. All right? I'm doing this on an electric guitar. You could also do this on an acoustic guitar because we're not doing like a dual guitar approach. We're just kind of fleshing out the chords to get it to sound like the song, right? Really interesting song to play, and the main part sounds like this. So you might think it's in like a different kind of time signature, but let's talk about that, right? So usually songs are in 4/4, which means 1, 2, 3, 4. You just count over and over again, right? And every quarter note just gets 4, and then every bar has 4 beats. So the way we arrange this is a big part of it, and what can be confusing for some people if they're just trying to learn it, all right? So let's learn the 4 chords that we need first for most of the song, and then we'll talk about how we're going to arrange those, all right? So it starts with a C sharp minor chord, okay? Now you can use bar chords for this, or you can use power chords. It doesn't really matter. We'll go over both ways. But basically our root note is going to be the 9th fret on the low E string, okay? So grab that with your pointer finger. And then if you want to do just an easier version, just make this a power chord where we have 9E and then 11A. Okay? We can play the whole song with this shape like that. It doesn't sound exactly like it, but it's a little bit easier than using the bar chords or maybe using a capo or something, right? Now to play the full chord, because this is just a C sharp power chord, it's not major or minor. To make it a minor chord, we have to grab this, right? So I'm barring the whole 9th fret with my pointer finger, and then I'm getting the 11th fret on the A and D string with my ring and pinky. Okay? Now, part of the sound of Fleet Foxes is really getting that kind of, that high part of the chord into it, right? They have that really cool, chimey guitar sound. Now, in the context of a band, that works great. But sometimes if you're doing like a solo performance, you kind of want the bass, the low end part of that to bleed through. So any of these chords you can change in the context of a band just by playing the higher register of them. Like this, I'm really just getting like the top 3 strings or something, and that also counts as a C sharp minor, right? We're gonna do the full bar chord. Again, some people have a problem with this one. If you need to, have your middle finger pile on your pointer finger to help bar the whole thing through, right? Now, instead of going 4 counts on this, we're actually only gonna go 3 counts. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're gonna take that shape and take it to a B major chord, okay? So now I'm on the 7th fret of the low E string. You can make a major bar chord like this, barring the whole 7th fret, and then 9, A, and D with my ring and pinky. And then I've got my middle finger here to differentiate it from a minor chord to a major chord on the 8th fret of the G string, right? Now, again, you can just use a bar chord or a power chord for this too, just by getting the E and A string, or maybe just the E, A, and D string. Either way, we're gonna have 4 counts on this chord. And then if you want to get it higher, so the high way is. Usually you don't see a count of 3 and a count of 4. Some people will be like, oh, well, this is maybe in 7. Not really, which we'll talk about in a second, but we've got a 3 count of C sharp. 1, 2, 3, B, 2, 3, 4. After this, we're gonna go right here. This 9th fret of the A string is our root note. This note is an F sharp. When we do this, where we go 9, 11, 11, 11, that makes it an F sharp major chord. Again, you can do a bar chord here, or a power chord here, but we're gonna do this voicing where I've got 9A, 11, B, G, and B, and then I pop my ring finger up to get the 9th fret of the high E string. That can be difficult for some people if you haven't been playing that long, but that's optional anyway, getting the high E string, right? Anyways, right here, I'm gonna get another 3 counts on this. 1, 2, 3, and then I'm gonna move it 2 frets to my left, 2 frets lower, to get an E major chord, and then here's where I'm gonna get 8 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so it goes a count of 3, a count of 4, a count of 3, and a count of 8. All right. So if you add it all up, 3 plus 4 is 7. then we have another 3, that's 10, and then 8, that's 18. So really it's still kind of like an even number of bars for the whole thing to go through. So I don't really see this as being in a different time signature, but the whole thing sounds like this. C sharp, B, F sharp, E. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think one way to think about it that might even be more helpful is go 3 and 4 and 3 and 4, and then an extra 4 on that E major chord. All right, so like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, or you can just do it with power chords to make it easier. Kind of an easier way to do it, but really just kind of getting the feel of when those changes happen is an important part of the entire song, okay? And also in the verses, if you want to bring it down a little bit, you can really just strum the 1 count on each of those, right? What I mean by that is leaving space, so it's not always, so you're not always just kind of busy like that. A lot of times in the song, even when it seems like the music is changing, the chords behind the music aren't changing. What they're doing is they're just getting 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It takes a minute to really get yourself kind of comfortable doing that without counting out loud. So count out loud while you're doing it, and eventually you develop just kind of a sense for where those changes come, okay? So there's really only another part of the song. It's kind of like the breakdown bridge, if you want to call it that. And we're just going to introduce one new chord, all right? But I also want to take this opportunity to learn a different C sharp minor chord, and we'll talk about why that is in a second. So the 9th fret on the low E string is the same as the 4th fret on the A string, assuming your guitar is in tune. This and this should be the same pitch, okay? We can play a minor chord on a C sharp like this just by taking that major chord like we used for the B on the 7th fret and moving it to the 4A. And now it's a minor chord, okay? Our root note being on the A string. Okay? So for the bridge of the song, we're gonna use a D sharp minor. Now I wanna take this shape and play the D sharp minor right here, the 6th fret on the A string, okay? Now here's where the counting kind of gets a little more traditional, I guess, because we're really just gonna strum like a bar. Just you can count to 4 in this one if you like. 2, 3, 4, C sharp minor, right? And then C sharp minor, back to B. Okay, so this is the bridge, right? We're gonna have, I guess if you're counting like 1, 2, 3, 4, it would just be 1, 2, 3, 4 to C sharp minor. That'd be a bar. If we were to slow down the count instead of going the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? But basically, however you want to organize, that's why it's great to kind of have that chord chart to follow along with in the link in the description, because it's helpful to have the words help you know when to change to. So again, the timing isn't crazy for this part because it's just like I said, kind of like a single strum on a D sharp minor chord. Then we're going to change that to C sharp minor. Then C sharp minor again to B. Okay? Then do that again. C sharp minor again to B. Okay? Now, the only other part aside from the instrumental kind of the which we'll talk about in a second, is this rising, ascending run of chords that we get near the end, okay? So again, this is why I wanted to play this C sharp minor. It's gonna make more sense in a second. Aside from just expanding your chord vocabulary and your voicing knowledge, which is always a good thing to do, right? So we're gonna start here, and then we're gonna rise through the entire chord scale, as it were. Okay? Now we can pick through this, which is, you can kind of hear them doing in the original version. But we're just gonna do strums right here, and then feel free to just pick through the chord if you want to do this. But what we're doing is we're playing a C sharp minor, to a D sharp minor, to an E major, to an F sharp major, to kind of build that suspense to get back into the, right? Which is going to be, that happens a few times in the song. You'll obviously know it when you hear it because it's kind of like a jarring da, 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 da. So on the chord chart, basically just has those 4 chords that we've already done listed, right? C sharp minor, B, F sharp major, E major. And it's kind of like 2 quick hits, like a, okay? I'm just kind of getting a down up, right? But I'm really making the up have the higher part of the string set. It's almost like if you hit a mute first, like a, all I'm doing there is I'm muting the chord on the downstroke, and then bringing the pressure into it for the upstroke. And then as I'm changing, I'm muting, and then hitting the upstroke. So you can kind of add the percussiveness of what the drum kit is doing into how you're doing it. Another way that I think sounds kind of cool, that kind of has a little bit more of the vibe of what the band is doing, even though it's not on the chord chart, is kind of coming from the previous chords, so like this. Okay, I think that's more of like a more traditional kind of way to use this that the band is kind of doing. And real quick, so one time with the mutes, C sharp minor, B, F sharp, E. Okay, that's with the mute on the downstring and the sustain on the upstring. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do this. Okay, so instead of starting on that C sharp minor, I start on a D sharp minor, like that. And then I go from the C sharp minor to the next chord, the B. And then I know I'm going to F sharp. And then I know I'm going to E. Okay, so I kind of have 4 different things, like a... Does that sound more like the song, or does... You tell me, you know what I mean? I kind of hear a little bit of both of them happening when I hear the full band play that song. But anyways, it's a really cool song because it forces you to kind of get a feel for where those changes are coming, and it forces you to be able to count in just kind of different odd meters, I suppose, even if it does end up becoming even at the end of it, right? And a great way to just kind of practice your bar chords and stuff too. So definitely, thanks for checking it out. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section and we'll get back to you. And then in the meantime, check out other videos on the Guitar Control channel by myself and other great instructors, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot.